Today we have with us one of the most. Okay, I need to do that again. My editor
Okay.
wants me to do such stuff.
So that's when I decided to make the final jump and say, you know what, I'm going to do this full time.
Good morning, guys. Today we bring to you one of the most independent and extremely talented persons whom I have come across in social media right now. Welcome, Simone, to Aam Aadmi Podcast.
Thank you so much for the welcome, Kevin. I'm honored to be on this podcast.
Thank you very much. Let me start by a small disclaimer. I did not make her say that. So the first thing which I read about you from your bio is that you've traveled to 16 countries and you're still counting.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that? When did that start? Is that a passion
Okay,
of yours?
so it is a passion, and it originally started very young. So I would always watch TV, and I'd see these people going to like cool places and on National Geographic, which my grandparents used to force me to watch. So I would see all of these places, and I was like, "Is this even real?" Because I was born in India, right? And so in India, what I was used to was just Mumbai, like big cities, the traffic. So I was like, "Wow,
Concrete
places like
jungle.
this." Yeah, so I was like, places like this actually exist, and I wanted to be part of that experience. So I think the spark started very young, and then my parents. So the first country that we actually traveled to internationally was Egypt, and it started after I watched the movie The Mummy. There's two parts, The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. The Scorpion King, don't watch it because it's not good. So those two are like really good. And my brother and I have watched it numerous times. So every single time after school, we would come back and watch the movie. And till date, I've watched it about 800 times.
Wow.
So yeah. So after that movie, they were like, okay, the kids really like Egypt, so we should take them there.
So
So
this
we
is
went
at
there.
what age? What age is this?
We started, I think, the first time we watched the movie, I was in grade 7.
No, no. The first time you traveled to Egypt was at what age?
It was in 2004. So I can't remember how old it was, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And so after that, so we went there 3 times actually, because my parents, we loved it so much. And so my parents were like, we have to take them. But so after that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to travel to places and I want to explore and I want to know not just the Instagrammable places, even though as a photographer, that's what we mostly go for. But I want to know the culture. I want to know like how it was, the history, the food, especially, and just everything about how people live in different countries. And that's what my passion is. So um, in university, we had this opportunity to go abroad. And so it was a travel study. So only a few people get handpicked for it. So I was one of them, luckily. And so we went to East Europe.
Okay.
So Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria. And we worked with companies when we went there. So we would do a project for them, and then we would go to the next country, do a project for them. So it went like that. And then we would also have free days in the middle where my friends and I would just go and like explore everything. And in Europe, it's actually really easy because you just take a train and then you're in like the next
It's all
country.
connected. Correct.
Yeah. So that I was like, wow, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's where it started.
But I'm confused now. So you have brown parents,
Right.
right? How did they agree to this? Like, did they not ask you to become an engineer or doctor first and then go and pursue your passion? How did that happen?
So so that's a very interesting story. My dad, he has a PhD in geophysics. So
Okay.
he has a doctorate. My mom has 5 master's degrees and she was a professor at a university.
Five masters.
Um, yeah,
Why?
like she's the kind of person that loves to learn,
Okay.
like she wants to keep learning and learning and learning, and that's just her. We think she's crazy, but that's just her passion. And then my brother is in med school.
Oh,
So for me, it was like a lot of pressure. I was like, I have to do something with my life, but I had no idea because I'm not passionate about academics, to be honest. Like I was never a good student in school, and I knew from a young age that I was going to fail if I did an office job. If I did a 9 to 5, I knew I wasn't going to be happy. So in high school, and I was a very obedient child. So like whatever my parents said, I would do without questions, right? Like they'll still tell you that I'm very obedient. So in university, they actually picked what I would do. They picked my major for me. So my mom was like, okay, you're going to do accounting, because in India, they only have science, commerce, and arts, right?
Yes.
Arts is never an option. Science I'm not good at. So commerce is the option. So that's what I did in university. I did accounting for 2 years, and I was not good at it at all. Numbers just don't make sense in my head. So I was like, you know what, Mom, like in my 3rd year, I met John, who is my husband now.
We'll get to the story after this. I need to hear all about that also.
So in my 3rd year, I met him, and he's actually a very free-spirited person. Like he's very strong, and he will do what he wants to do, regardless of what his parents say. And he's done pretty well. So seeing that, I was like, why can't I do that? And he pushed me. He was like, what are you good at? Just graduate. That's your goal right now. You're in university, just graduate. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to graduate if I do accounting. I will be in university for the rest of my life. So I need to do something else. So I did HR, so human resources, and international business. So I did a double major, and I graduated. And and then my parents were like, yeah, I mean, you've done, you graduated, which is what they say. After university, you can do whatever you want.
This is what every Indian parent does this. I don't know why. I mean, you ask any Indian, any Indian youngster, this is what they're going to then be told. You do your graduation, you finish it, then you pursue your passion. But only a handful of them go and do it afterwards. Like they'll get stuck in the college, or they'll go start doing the work afterwards, and they'll get stuck in that. They'll never pursue their passion afterwards. But you did that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it took time, because when you're brought up in that mindset for so long, it's hard to get out of it, because you're so scared. Like, what if I don't have consistent income? What if I don't make any money? What if I'm not successful? Because from their eyes, that's what they grew up with, and that's what success is for them, right? But for us, it's a little different. And so for me, if I didn't have John, I don't think I would do what I'm doing right now. I think I would still be in my job in HR, and I would still be hating life every day and not doing what I love. So a huge part of the credit goes to him, actually. Yeah, don't tell him that though, because then we'll get to his head.
So how did you and John meet? I'm pretty sure there's a cute story there also.
And we went to the same church in Abu Dhabi when we were kids. So I remember him. I only have one memory of him, which is him peeing in the sandpit, like as kids. That's all I remember. And him and his brother were, those kids that run around all the time and they're always creating noise. They were those kids. But for me, I was always the quiet one, very obedient, right? So if my parents say you sit there for 3 hours, I will sit there for 3 hours and not say a word. So I would always look at these kids and be like, what are their parents doing? So we weren't friends, right? He was just that kid.
He was that awkward kid.
And then we moved churches. And so we went to that church for quite a bit of time. And so I saw him grow up, actually, till he was like a teenager. So I remember his face, but I never talked to him. Our parents used to talk, but I never talked to him. We were never friends. Different friend circles and everything. And then they moved to Canada, and that was it. And in those days, we didn't have Facebook or anything, right? So we didn't keep in touch. And then I came to university, and in my 2nd year, I saw him. I smiled at him 3 times, but he didn't smile back. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to pursue that. I'm not even going to say hi or anything. And then in my 3rd year, my best friend, she introduced me to him because his mom and her mom are friends. So it's a small world, actually. So so she introduced us, and then
so basically the family set you up. It's
no. It was more just like this is John. Like, I know him. He's just
casual
a friend.
meets kind of
yeah.
stuff.
So I was like, yeah, I know you. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I know everything about you. Like, I know what church you went to. I know who your mom is. I know who your dad is. I know where you grew up. And so I started telling him all these things. And he thought,
let's just pause that. Okay. And I just want you to tell me what John would have been thinking at that point of time. He'll be like, oh my
yeah,
God, this girl's a stalker. How does she know all these things about me?
yes, that's exactly what he thought. And he thought it was a prank that his brother set up.
Okay.
And I was like, no, I actually know all of these things. So he went home, and that same day he talked to his mom and was like, do you know this girl?
Background check is happening, is it?
Yeah. And so his mom was like, no, I don't remember her, but I remember like her dad. So then that's where the connection happened. And then we started dating right after.
Okay.
But obviously when it's two brown families involved, they don't approve of dating, so it was still very
You don't
different.
let them know that you are dating till after you agree to marry that person. Then things will be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So with my parents, I told them right away. I was like, yeah, I'm dating them. And my parents luckily were, when I was a kid, I remember this, they were like, listen, we're not going to do arranged marriage for you. You find your own person. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Okay.
That's progressive.
Yeah. And I was just like, what is happening right now? So they've known about all my boyfriends in the past. So I told them about John, and they were just like, be careful, because now it's families, right? They know each other. So if something happens, if we break up, it's like, it's not good. So they were like, just be careful, take it slow. You don't really know what's happening yet. You haven't graduated. So after you graduate, you do what you want.
Again,
and I
same
was like,
thing.
yeah, okay, fine. So yeah.
Just think about this instance, right? You are sitting with a few of your friends, and then you're telling someone is asking you, was it love at first sight with John? And then you kind of rewind and think, what is the first sight you had of him?
Right. Yeah. Him peeing in the sandpit.
Photography was a passion which you wanted to pursue, right? I mean,
Right.
John came into your life and pushed you into doing that. But when did you know that this is something that you enjoy doing?
As a kid. So ever since the beginning, like the old style cameras with the film and stuff, right?
Yes.
So obviously, like, we all had one. So I would take pictures on that. And so when the film would be developed and we got the pictures, my parents would be like, who took these pictures? I didn't take them. But so like it wasn't very prominent when I was a kid. But then I remember we went to Munnar, like in Kerala, this one time. And my dad had an iPhone. And for some reason, the iPhone camera back then was so nice and crisp. I was taking pictures of everything. So that's when I was like, oh, I actually really like photography. So then I started doing photography on just the phone. And then I became serious about it in my third year, which is when my dad was like, do you want a car or do you want a camera? Oh. And I said, oh, that's a hard choice. So I picked a camera. And then
that's when he knew that you were serious about it, right? When you chose a camera over a car, he's like, okay, exactly. This girl really wants to go into this. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I picked a camera and my friends were like, are you stupid? So I was like, oh, Dad, actually, I don't know. And then he was like, it's okay, I'm buying you a car anyways. And then he bought me a car. So yeah, I got both that summer.
Your parents are so supportive, man.
They are.
I cannot help but not say this, but your parents are very supportive.
They are.
So tell me this, and how most photographers start is that most of them don't, I mean, in a usual case, like how you did, they don't start with family. They start with them starting to click pictures of their friends in their friend circle, in school, in colleges, and then they understand they have this thing. Then the Facebook page comes up. Earlier it was Facebook, now it is Instagram, right? So ideally, if it was me, it would have been Kevin John photography, right? Something like that. And then they'll slowly pursue it, right? So are there any stories like that? Were you the camera woman of your gang?
I was, mostly because I had a camera and because nobody else had one. So usually when you have a camera, you're automatically the camera person. So in my third year, when I got the camera, I was taking pictures of literally everybody. Whoever was my friend, I was like, hey, can I take a picture of you? And then, they would like dress up and we would take nice pictures of them. And looking back at those pictures, I was like, they actually thought this was nice, because they would upload it as their profile picture and stuff. And I was like, why? It's so embarrassing. Yeah. And so it's the same journey for me as well. Like, I started taking pictures of friends, and then I made a Instagram page, and then my business. So,
but then most of the pages of my friends, at least, I see good pictures of others. I've never seen any good pictures of them. That's literally because they don't have anyone to take a good picture of them, right? But in your page, I see a lot of good pictures. How is that possible? Is it a timer, or you have really good friends?
No, so John is also a photographer.
John,
so,
he's the solution for everything. I need to meet him.
So if we're traveling to a place, and let's say it's on a road, like a busy road, and I don't have time to set up my tripod and my remote clicker, then he takes a picture for me. And then if we're taking pictures of the two of us, it's a self timer. But I always carry my tripod and my remote clicker with me wherever I go, because you never know when the photo opportunity is going to come. And the reason you see a lot of pictures of me instead of a lot of pictures of my friends is because my long-term goal is to be a travel influencer. And even to say that, it kind of sounds stupid, because most people are like, ew, you want to be an influencer, but that's my goal.
It is not.
You know,
it's a very beautiful goal of yours. I totally support it.
Thank you. So yeah, so in order to become that, you have to be your own brand.
True.
So I can't be posting a lot of pictures of other people, because then it's more business side, and I'm not on the content creation side. So what I want to be on is the content creation side. So that's what I'm working towards. But in the past, my pictures are mostly of my friends and other people.
So there are a few questions which I wanted to ask. Okay? First thing is that I've heard something about you. I wanted to confirm that from you, to be very frank. It's a little disturbing, but I still need to find out. So I heard that you're addicted to Coke. Is that true?
It's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola.
So the first time I saw that video in TikTok, I was like, wow. Now this girl is pretty straightforward.
So I'll tell you a funny story about it.
Yeah.
So when I first joined work, we have these icebreaker meetings. Icebreaker meetings are basically where you get to know each other, and people ask personal questions about you and just get to know you better. So for my team, we had that. And so one of my friends was like, tell me something that we don't know about you. And so I was like, okay, well, and this was the thing that was going through my mind, because I've been wanting to quit Coke for a very long time, for like years now. So obviously back then as well, I was like, I need to quit Coke. I need to quit Coke. And as I was sipping it, I was like, oh, I'll say that I am addicted to Coke, right? So I was like, I'm addicted to Coke. But it was winter and I had a cold. So I like rubbed my nose right after, and they were like, what? And I was like, no, like Coca-Cola, like not like Coke. And they were like, you're scary. Like, we don't know what we've got into, but yeah. And I was like, no, it's all good.
The main reason why I want you on the show was for other people to be inspired by you. Like, the choices that you made is not something that every other person in India or around the world would do, right? So I wanted to know from your point of view on what is women empowerment for you?
So for me as a woman, I would say women empowerment is doing what makes you feel best, disregarding what society says you should do.
Perfect.
So if you have an idea in mind of what makes you feel empowered, it might be different from anybody else. Some people might feel empowered just doing nothing, and that's also okay. But women empowerment is basically being empowered to do what you want to do and not taking anybody else's opinion into consideration.
Very true. So in your case, you had tremendous support from your family and now your new family, John, right? But for those people who are still scared to take that first step towards their aim or passion, is there something you want to talk to them about, or you want to tell them about, a small advice?
So my journey might seem easy or relatively easy compared to other people that have done this, but it actually wasn't. So when I quit my job in HR, I didn't tell my mom and dad. because I knew I wouldn't have their support. And I didn't have their support for a very long time after that as well, because in their mind, constant income is what gives you stability, what gives you peace of mind.
Yes.
But for me, what they don't know, and I haven't said this a lot of times, but I had severe mental illness problems. So I was in depression and I have severe anxiety attacks as well. So for me, I had to go to therapy pretty often. I was in therapy for 2 years and it was really bad. So I quit my job at the very peak of that disturbance, where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I need to do something that is good for me, that is good for my mental health, that will make me happy. So that's when I decided to make the final jump and say, you know what, I'm going to do this full time. But till then, I was part-time. I was doing photography only part-time because I was still scared. So it's never easy. But as long as you know what your plan is after you're going to quit photography. And some people say you don't need to have a plan. But for me, coming from an Indian background, it's very important to have a plan.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how people do no plans. Like, I can never do that.
Basically for us, where do you see yourself after 5 years is a question we hear on a daily basis.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So for me, that was the constant issue. So I saved up quite a bit. So I knew that I would be fine. And then I would be fine for like at least 6 months. I would be covered. And that gave me motivation, So I was like, in 6 months, where do I want to be? So not having a backup plan, because as long as my 9 to 5 job was a backup, I knew I had consistent income. And then when I didn't have that anymore, the push gave me even more motivation to make my photography full time.
So you
that's
basically
where
pushed yourself outside from the comfort zone, and you made yourself vulnerable so that you will push forward to reach your passion.
Exactly. Yeah. And even my first client, I didn't just get it by posting on Instagram. I actually reached out to them and I was like, hey, do you want a photo shoot? I charge this much, and then I got rejected so many times because why would you reach out to someone and say, hey, do you want a photo shoot, but then get them to pay you?
True.
Right. But then eventually there was one person that said yes. And then it just started to flow. Like, as you build momentum, the work will come. So so it's not easy, but you need to have a plan. And as long as you feel confident, you need to go for it.
Very true. So the journey might be hard, but the destination is something you can really look forward to. And once you reach the destination, you would not mind how hard the journey was.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for all those people who are just waiting to take that first step, look at Simone. Look how happy she is right now. Look how cheerful she is and confident she is. Go for it. That's what I would like to tell them.
Definitely. That's the message that everybody should know. Yeah.
Thank you, Simone. That was awesome. Now let's go to the most interesting part of the show, which is going to come for the first time in the show, which has never happened before. So let's go to the rapid fire round. Initially itself, I had decided that I will not copy Coffee with Karan, but I have no other option but to go into this.
Sounds good.
So in the rapid fire round, the first question that I'm going to ask you is this. If you get a chance to get into a time machine and go back wherever you want to go to, where will you go to and why?
I would go back to grade 11 because I think that's when my self-esteem started to go down a lot. And because, board exams and everything, even with like my A levels and AS levels, the pressure was so much. And that really deteriorated my self-esteem. And comparing myself to my parents and, my smart brother. And I was just like, where am I going to be in life? And also I had like not really supportive friends or relationships. So I would go back then and then like change that. So grade 11 would be my answer.
I don't know why I wanted you to say that. I wanted to go and see John one more time and, make sure the first time you see him would be different. I don't know why I thought of that. Anyways, we'll move on to the next question. 3 things that you cannot live without.
My camera.
Okay.
My phone.
Okay.
And my passport.
John is gonna cry. Yeah. John is gonna cry after seeing this.
You said things. You didn't say people.
Yeah, nice, Eva. So 3 things which you do not want to take forward, like which you want to throw away. 3 things in your life right now which you don't want to throw away. Don't say John.
Negativity, negativity,
Okay.
anxiety, and trash talk.
That's again something which I want to talk to you about. So you're doing pretty well in TikTok and you're doing pretty well in social media. So how do you deal with the negativity? That's become so common and people are okay with it. I don't understand why.
It's I'm not okay with it. So if you look at my Instagram inbox, you'll be surprised as to how many messages I get every day. It'll just be like one word, but it's a swear word, or like it's a bad word, or it's a picture that I don't have any interest in seeing, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And I'm just like, for what? You know, like, what do you get out of this? And sometimes it does get a lot, but then you get messages like, you've inspired me to pick up my camera and take pictures again. And then that negates everything else. So yeah. So I would say, instead of focusing on what's negative, even the one thing that you have that's positive, keep that in mind always.
Thank you, Simone. That will be that's a very good message to stop the session with. Thank you for doing this with us. You've been awesome. You're always awesome. I'm always inspired looking at your pictures and the videos you post outside.
Thank you.
And yeah, next time you come to Dubai, let's have a photo shoot.
Yes, for sure. Obviously. Yes, I'll hit you up for sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Simone, for doing this. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Kevin. And to everybody that's watching this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Aam Aadmi Podcast, because obviously, as you see, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.